Greetings all. Another requested video. We'll just call him Roger. His name isn't Roger. Why is this coming up now? Yes, update for God's sake. So I had a question from Roger. And Roger writes, "Hello, Captain. I want to request you to make a video regarding a problem that I and many other men in the world face in our dating lives. A problem that I often face while talking to a woman whom I'm on a date with." Excuse me. Just got back from running. Or cold approach on the street, is that I'm often able to start a conversation and get it going, but within a few minutes the conversation runs out of steam, leading to a dreadful, awkward silence. Every second during that time feels like an hour, is extremely unsettling and damaging to my confidence. I'm often able to say something and restart conversation, but the romantic vibe is lost, and that approach or date ends up as a dead end with no number or further dates. I'm not helped by the fact that I'm an engineer. The good old engineer. See, why are you Dilbert guys all hard on yourselves? What does that got to do with anything? And my job requires me to sit in front of a computer and think a lot for 8 hours per day. Fortunately, it pays well with limited human interaction. That's kind of the dream job, actually. My several years of engineering education has trained me to think in a very calculating and logical manner. This is great for analyzing, solving engineering problems, and making technical presentations, discuss this to my bosses, but very bad for making small talk with women, who I find often think in an emotional manner and in very different ways compared to men. Well, yeah, I mean, night and day difference, right? And the same can be said of men. Men and women are not math problems. They're not finite. They are not these finite structures or systems. And that's what's great. You know, that's what makes humans awesome and the most interesting things in the world, because they're different. They're not going to operate by an algorithm. They're not predictable. Well, sometimes you'd like them to be predictable, but whatever you've learned in engineering, that'd be like me taking flying lessons to learn how to fish. It just isn't going to work. So yeah, there. There's another problem too. I have dated a much smaller number of girls than you, and so I may be wrong on this. Let me know what you think. I find women in general are not enthusiastic to carry the conversation forward. I'm not talking about just the awkward pauses. Even during the conversation, I find they don't show much interest in getting to know me and asking questions about me and my life. I have to do all the work to keep the conversation going. I don't know, well, if you're younger, you probably have dated a lot less women than I have, but you're dating them. You're getting them out. They're not. This is just the difference between probably men and women. They're there with you on the date, so they do have at least some interest in you. And just because they're quiet doesn't mean they're not interested. There's, you know, that's, yeah, so I would not be so hard on yourself in that regard. Regardless. So my questions are, how do I properly deal with these awkward silences, restart the conversation, increase or at least maintain the woman's level of attraction to me? How did I deal with scenarios like this in my dating life? Well, now I'll ask a question 2 here. Regarding women's lack of interest in carrying on the conversation, getting to know me, have you seen this in a lot of girls you've dated? As for my personal experiences, I've never had a problem with awkward silences, and I don't know why, I just haven't. I can talk a mile a minute, and I always, it's never been an issue for me. But I could see where it might be, especially on an approach. Yeah, every guy faces that. But if I'm on a date, usually I can ask them, you can always default ask them about themselves. Regarding women's lack of interest in carrying on the conversation, getting to know me, have I seen this on a lot of girls you date? Yeah, women aren't, look, who does the majority of the asking out? It's men. It's because we're the aggressors. It's why we're entitled to the fruits of all of our economic labor, and why we've invented most shit in this planet. It's because we fucking go and do. Women don't. Women want to be approached. Hell, you look at the damn sperm and the egg. Sperm got to fly all the way up, Lord knows, the Grand Canyon, and get up there, and then point, 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 point. And the egg still doesn't want you to get in there. And only one sperm could get in, and oh, fine, we'll let you in. And so it is genetically wired that women are going to be, I wouldn't say even less curious. They're not going to interrogate or ask as many questions about you. They are biologically programmed in general. So this isn't to say that women won't ask questions, but yeah, this is common. It ain't you. That's my guess. What my whole point is. That don't worry, this isn't you. Additional information that may help to answer my questions. Physique: 6'4", 190 pounds, lean and muscular. Wow, all those body weight workouts are starting to pay off. No balding, full hair. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That, you know, see, that knocks one thing out. You know, you ain't ugly, and dude, 6'4", 190, lean shit. Financially independent. Yeah, you got the job. No, that's, yeah, and you got a BMW motorcycle. Dude, yes. Absolutely. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with you. Minus points, introvert, don't talk much. I don't know about that. You are approaching women during the day and getting dates. That's success. Workplace is complete sausage fest. Well, of course, yeah, that has nothing. Don't worry about that. I live in a medium-sized town in the Midwest, 100,000. That's not really that bad. My sense of style needs. I don't know if your sense of style needs. Anyway, okay. So I took some notes while I peripherally read through this. Here's to solve your problem of not being able to keep the conversation going. Here's just a couple ideas, all right? One, I don't know if you do drink, but I recommend having a drink or two. Well, you're taller and bigger, so I maybe have 2 drinks in your system. And the reason why is that just relaxes you and gets your mind off of what do I got to say next. There is no say anything next. Like I said before, you can always default going to ask her about her. A lot of people will say not to do that because you don't want to make it sound like you're putting them on a pedestal, but that certainly is better than dead air time. And also, I wouldn't worry too much about dead air time. I mean, you can't be always like blah 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 blah. The conversation will naturally take shape if it's going to naturally take shape. If there's quietness on your end and you feel like you're being forced to constantly ask her questions, she's just not that interesting of a person. If you think about it, if she's not saying anything interesting, that's, it's like, and you're like, come on, that's maybe not a girl you want to be dating the entire time. So there is that. But so having the drink, you could have kind of like semi-rehearsed anecdotes and stories or interesting things about yourselves. Like you can, what I always would do unconsciously is like, oh yeah, this one time me and my buddies back, middle school, whatever. You just tell them stories about yourself that are funny and interesting and engaging. And not that I recommend rehearsing it, just like have it semi-rehearsed, like you have this anecdote you talk about, or she does something that reminds you of something back in your life. And then you say, it's funny you did that. It reminds me of the time back in the 80s, we were, I don't know, chasing cats, I don't know, whatever. Don't be scripted so much that you're using it as a crutch, but, just have like, a handful of anecdotes that, usually people find interesting and gives you some kind of advantage. Nothing, okay, choose dates where you don't have to talk. You'll never get to know each other incrementally, and then this whole starting conversation, keep it going, will be moot. It's not like when you go hang out with your guys and play poker, do you worry, oh God, what am I going to talk to Steve about? You never find, hey, what's up, Steve? Not much, Clary. How you doing? Good. Hey, should we get a cigar? How is that cigar? Oh, I had this really good cigar. And by the way, you should have seen the tits on this girl that was. Ooh, really? Was it the same one? No, brunette this time. I mean, you don't think because we're guys. It's the same thing with the girls. Regardless, yeah, you got a motorcycle, man. That's it. You throw that girl in the back, you can't hear. Yeah, it's great. That's like the dream come true date. You have a date, but you don't have to listen to her. That's. I heard that, Eric Larry. So you got the motorcycle. Movies are a great thing, and comedy clubs. Comedy clubs are awesome. It's so you don't have to talk to each other, but there's something going on, and then it gives you material to talk about later. So you got that. Second to last thing. Okay, you're going out there and approaching girls during the day, and that's ballsy. And you're getting girls on dates, so that's success. But I get the impression that you're like, oh God, I'm not doing it. No guy does great. The fact you're out there means you're succeeding. No guy bats 1,000. No guy does. You're good. At my best, I would close 30%. That was my best. And usually it was like 1 out of 10, empirically speaking, including, when I didn't know what the hell I was doing. If I had to go back into the market, I'm so rusty, I'd probably be back down to around 20%. You are going to fail the majority of the time. Matter of fact, it's a lot like baseball. If you got a batting average of 250, that's 1 out of 4. That's not bad. That's generally successful. So don't feel bad if you get shut down the majority of the time. Even the best guys get shut down the majority of the time. So you are doing exactly what you need to do. It's a tough racket. So what I recommend doing, and this is how it took me a while to get there, but towards the end of college I was kind of like I was like this. You can't take the rejection personally. You just can't. It's a numbers game, and you have to. I've said this before. But you have to stop looking at women as fellow human beings and rather just look at them as a number or a non-sentient entity. And if the girl, she's, so what? You know, that's how it goes. And honestly, you could approach the same girl the next day, the one that shoots you down, and she's in a better mood, you're in a better light, she just ate something that made her feel better, she's on a whim or whatever, she'll go out with you, whereas 24 hours before she wouldn't. There's no consistency among it. So, don't, try to divorce yourself from any kind of emotional attachment. You should not be fretting approaching a woman or a girl. You should just be like, hey, how you doing? And yeah, approaching a girl in the daytime, that's really hard. The final thing I was going to recommend, and this is probably a bit more literal, but it'll give you a lot of ideas, is read Day Bang by Roosh V. You can find that on Amazon. But he's a former microbiologist, so he's very methodical, very scientific in his approach, which probably would help for you. But then he also gives you, I don't want to call them crutches, but patterns or paths by which to talk about getting a girl to go out with you on a date or making day approaches. And they're really crafty, like, ask a girl where the nearest pet store is. And I won't explain why, because I don't want to take away from Roosh's writing. You just have to buy the book and find out why. But that, if you think about it, or you read his book, you find out is a brilliant little tactic. Like, hey, where's the nearest pet store? And right now, if you're like, what? Why would you just read the book? You'll find out. But yeah, so don't feel bad. I mean, for an engineer, you're doing real good if you're landing dates and you think that mathematical predisposition you have is that much of a handicap to you. You're approaching girls, which is ballsy during the daytime. Absolutely, don't have more confidence in yourself, and then two, kind of use one of those things or those tricks or selective dates that you take girls on where maybe talking isn't the centerpiece of it. Just don't go to church. Church is not a date. That's ballroom dancing. That's another one. Go ballroom dancing. That's always a great. There's dancing. There's music. You don't have to talk to the girl. So, all right. Hopefully that helps out. Oh, and then, hey, if anybody wants a video and you want to have a requested video and you have a couple bucks and it's not terribly well, even if it is complicated, I'll just charge more. You can pay me. I'll put together a video and answer your questions and make your lives a hell of a lot easier. Look up assholeconsulting.com. You can contact me there. Toodles.